Rejected plans for a multi-million-pound national leisure complex on Greenbelt land near Luton. The proposed site at Sundance Springs had included a 90,000...
Southwest, where the taps run dry, supplying the southwest. When it's finished, this Devon Valley will be filled with over 8,000 million gallons of water. Most of it will come from the tiny River Wolf. It will take over a year for the water level to rise 40 metres. A typical valley with its farming communities that date back to medieval times will be lost under water forever. Roadford took 10 years of planning. Now, that may seem like a long time, but when you consider all the things that will be affected by the reservoir, like farm buildings, flowers and plants, wild animals, and even the movement of the fish up and down the river, it's hardly been long enough.
Before the valley can be filled with water, it has to be stripped bare of trees, hedgerows and buildings that would clog the water flow. To complete the task of recording and rescuing what they can, archaeologists and conservationists have flocked to Roadford. And it isn't just the experts that are studying the valley.
I'm with the juniors of Ashwater Primary School and their headmaster, Chris Nichols, and we're going to be studying a very old farm, which is going to be bulldozed tomorrow. So hats on and let's go! Yay! Come on then!
And I'm with the juniors of Boasley Cross with their head teacher, Rose Williams, who's this lady at the back. Now we've got spades and bags because we're off to collect as many different wild plants as possible for the school's wildlife garden. Now have you all got something to dig with?
Yeah!
Here we go then!
The reservoir, though vital for water supply, will cover 3 square kilometres of the valley.
Okay, it's very important that before these buildings are knocked down, that we get a really good record of them, that we get good drawings, good measurements.
We headed for Shop, a 300-year-old farm. The archaeologists had already been at work here, and our visit was one last look with expert Mark Knight.
Here's one of the buildings that we've got to record. It's a Cobb building. Now, if I can try and explain to you how this building was built.
Cobb is a mixture of clay, dung and straw that hardens when it dries. To stop it washing away in the rain, this building would have had a thatch. It's lasted for centuries, but in a few hours, Shop would be gone, and all that would be left would be the drawings.
While Yvette's group started the task of drawing and measuring Shop Farm, we joined nature conservationist Naomi Watkins.
Well, Southwest Water gave funding to the Devon Wildlife Trust, who I'm working for 6 months. And I'm doing management plans for the acres afterwards and survey work of the meadows beforehand, and all sorts of things to do with woodland plants and otters and bats and all the things in the reservoir.
Naomi is an expert on all types of wildlife, but her speciality is plants.
The flowers here are devil's bit scabious, and these are very typical of the sort of grassland that we're looking at. So I want us to dig some of these plants up if we can. The important thing is, when we're digging up these plants, we've got to make sure we get the roots, all the roots, okay? So you've got to dig good and deep and get a big ball of soil around the roots, and then put them in your box, and we'll plant them at your school again tomorrow. All right?
Sarah, what have you learned about this building?
Well, it was used for putting cattle and things like that in it.
Why are you drawing pictures?
Because we just want to know what they look like so we can remember them, what they look like in years to come.
As a keepsake?
Yeah.
How's your picture getting on?
It's all right.
Is it? In the beams? Come on then, Kirsty, let's see yours. Oh, look, you've got the beams in. It's clever. And 4 doors. That's good. Even though we only had a few hours to complete the work, by dividing into groups, we hoped to get it all done. Darren and Darryl measured the Cobb barn by walking its length, pushing a measuring wheel.
16 metres.
Natasha took photographs of the nearby cow sheds that we didn't have time to draw. Darryl, why do you think it's important to make plans?
Well, in a couple of years this will all be flooded, so we won't be able to see it anymore and make plans like I have today.
Why do you think the reservoir is so important?
To feed supplies to Plymouth and North Devon and South Devon, so they can have water.
Do you think it has any bad points?
Well, people are losing their homes and they have to move from places they might have lived there all their life.
Where are you going to live now that your house is being demolished?
Oh, up to Ashwater down Bratton Clovelly.
Farmer George Moyes has lived and farmed here for almost 60 years.
Do you feel sad about the house is being knocked down?
Oh yes, it's a very old house and it was my own. That's what I do feel sad about there. Because, you know, I come when I was 7-year-old and just made it my own.
Do you think the reservoir is a good thing?
Oh, you got to have water there, but there was room burn on Dartmoor, and that's what I've always done. Everybody else said there wasn't bound to come in here. There was room on Dartmoor.
Now, what is this plant that you've dug up?
Bethany.
And have you got lots of good roots on it?
Yeah, I've got one very good one here.
And what about, are there lots around here as well? Yeah, lots of soil. I should imagine a few worms. What do you all think of the reservoir being made here?
I think it's bad because we have to move all the plants. And
What do you think, Nicola?
Well, it's good in one way and bad in another because they have to move all the wildlife and they're sometimes disturbing the wildlife, but otherwise I think it's good because I like, Dad's going to teach me how to water ski and I'm going to be allowed to come down here fishing.
So you're quite excited about it, really, aren't you? Well, you've got some great plants here. I think you should have a look for a few more. I'll see you in a minute. I'm just going over to see what they're doing over here. Hi, how's it all going over here? All right, they're doing well. What have you found so far? Well, gentlemen, you show what we've been finding? They've all got brilliant names, haven't they? Do you think that it's important to save plants like this?
yeah, because if they went somewhere else, at least there'd be some left somewhere that people can still look at, so they won't go extinct or anything.
So you reckon your wildlife garden is a good idea?
Yeah.
Are these plants particularly rare? It's really the combination of the plants that we're interested in. I mean, these are typical of the grassland, and grasslands are declining all over the country because they're being drained. So what we're really trying to do is save some of these coal measure grasslands. These are plants that you'll find only in very, very small areas, and it's important that we do move those.
What do you think of all the buildings that are going to be pulled down? What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's bad because, you know, lots of people like to see them, of what they were used for and their past times.
Water is vital, but the cost of providing the Roadford Reservoir is a slice of Devon history. Local feelings are mixed with sadness, and Shop Farm was about to pay the price.
Oh, it's sad, isn't it? What do you feel?
A lot of work sort of gone into the buildings, recording them and giving them a sort of story, a history. Very purposeful buildings, there for a reason, serve a simple function and then it just disappears.
Do you all want to bring your boxes and we'll take them back up and have a look? They'll be a lot heavier going back. Do you want to hand this? Okay.
As Caron headed back for some planting, we continued with the demolition.
Oh, no! It just crumbles really easily, doesn't it?
I mean, it's only taken a few... I mean, look how quickly it's knocked down that part of the building.
Take long, does it?
No!
2 minutes and it's gone.
Sad, isn't it? It just crumbles so easily. Yeah, it is. It's very important. You can see why now, can't you, Claire? Are you glad you've done it? You can keep it forever. Oh, it is a shame. What do you think about it then, Sarah?
Well, sad. It's quite sad because that building is standing for quite a long time and now it's gone. Into making these houses.
All the farmers will be paid by the government for the loss of their farms and land, but the cost of losing rare marshlands is beyond price. Thanks to Boasley Cross School and their wildlife garden, a few plants will survive and many others have been transplanted by South West Water. But for Shop Farm, all the memories that exist now are on paper.
I know, an interesting story. It's sad, and yet they need the reservoir.
You have to progress as well.
Yeah. Well, that project, organised by the Ashwater and Boasley Cross Schools, is just one of the many conservation projects we've been hearing about from your